Another player that's won the league and knows the club song inside out is Joe Thornton.
Joe first obviously came to my attention when he was playing at Staveley when I was at Liversedge a few years back, and was extremely good around the league then. Obviously moved on with Craig, and obviously went to see him at Ossett Town as well. So yeah, great addition to the squad. Very, very good. A little bit like Baker, 1v1, able to go past players, and again will be very creative for us this season.
And the final signing so far is George Conway.
Yeah, another player who's going to bring a lot of excitement to the team, and again another player. You know, the game's about creating 1v1s all over the pitch, and if you can create more 1v1s than the opposition, and then you've got players who can beat a player, and Conway fits into that bracket every single time. And again, another great addition to the squad.
Yeah, all the players you brought in have got great pedigree, haven't they? Billy, when we've met with all the players, I know you've asked them all a question about how they feel about the competition for places. Maybe you can just give us a little bit of an insight into what their responses were to that.
I think each and every one of them have said that it will be healthy for the squad, and I think what I've tried to highlight to all the players who were around the squad last year is that the 11 players that start the season will be the 11 players that want it the most. They might not be technically the best players in the team, but I think, you know, technique is a part of the game, but attitude is up there amongst all the rest of them. And the lads that want to be in the side and want to participate and want to be part of what we're doing and understand the game plan will be the lads that start the season.
Great. Your management style, how would you describe that?
I'm not a screamer and shouter. I'd like to think that I do. There is a thought process behind what we do. I do think about the game a lot. I do study the game a lot. I've been around the game a very long time now. I've been in management for probably 16 years now, going back to when I was running youth teams with the military and that. So I'd like to think over them 16 years, the biggest thing that's changed in me is my management of players and how we deal with individuals, because every individual within the changing room is different. I think some lads, you know, are quite happy to wear their heart on the sleeve, and other lads want an arm around the shoulder. So I think they'll get that from me. They'll get an open door policy, you know, and what I'll try and do is influence the games at the parts that I can influence before, maybe during sometimes, but you're relying on the players to do that on the pitch and at half time and after the game.
Can you give us a little bit of an idea of what pre-season's got in store?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we'll come in probably twice before the Selby game on the 4th of July. And then from there we'll try and get into the structure of how the season's going to run as soon as we possibly can. What I wouldn't do is, the season's long enough without extending it by 1 or 2 months, so pre-season's one of them periods we've just got to get through. And what we'll try and do is we'll have a real structured session in place that will incorporate various aspects of the game, various areas that we want to work on. Obviously don't want to give too much away in terms of where we're going with that, but I think that the key thing for me is if we can get the structure in place so the players certainly understand the direction in which we want to go to, then we can work on that cross-course pre-season. We've got some really high-profile fixtures in place where the lads can, you know, really test themselves before obviously starting the season early August.
Brilliant. Richard Lawrence, what's Richard going to bring to the team?
Richard does a lot of work around the statistics during the game for us, and sort of fell into the role when we were at Railway, when he came in with us and started picking at the sort of how many passes we made in certain areas, where we were giving the ball away, where our strengths were, where our weaknesses were, and what Richard's able to do is produce visual maps for us that will highlight, you know, strengths and weaknesses of both ourselves and the opposition, and he's very quick with it, very quick. You know, he'll produce it by half time in the game for you. So it's a really interesting tool to have available as a manager, and it gives us an insight into the direction the game has gone across both halves of the game.
Brilliant. Billy, Twitter followers have doubled since becoming the gaffer here at Tadcaster. How have you found the fans, and what part can they play in this season coming up?
Yeah, I think there's an old cliche that they're the 12th man, and I think that's, you look at every single successful club anywhere in the world and they play a big part in it. You know, I know going back to the league last year when Salford won the league and the lads at United took over the club, I think their fan base doubled. I think Darlington, you know, they're well documented, great fan base. You know, nothing harder than going to Darlington and listening to 1,300 fans, you know, screaming for the home team, and you've got to beat that before you even beat the team when you get on the pitch. So I think it's well documented that Tadcaster's support has grown over the past sort of year, 2 years, to, you know, for this level of football. It's absolutely unbelievable, and the lads who do it week in, week out should take a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, the season ticket price is going to be announced very soon, so that's a timely reminder. We've got some questions, Billy, from fans and other people from social media, so we'll get cracking with those if that's all right. From Captain Chickers, suit or tracksuit on match day?
I tend to wear a suit to the game, and then I tend to get changed into tracksuit same time as the players are getting changed, and I'll be in the dugout in tracksuit, but then after the game I'll get changed back into suit.
Very good. From Paul Kempster, which team or manager are you most looking forward to playing next season?
Well, obviously Liversedge would be nice to go back there, because I had ties with Liversedge a few years back. But Brett Marshall, for me, I had some great times with Brett when he were at Retford, and they won the league. So it'd be nice to meet up with Brett again and talk football, because, you know, he's a really positive character, great for the game, and again has won the league.
We'll do well at Staveley.
Yeah.
Another from Paul Kempster, 4-4-2 or 3-5-2?
Depends on the opposition and the style of play at the time, and sometimes, you know, it depends on what players are available, but do like to play with wingers. We've got 4 wingers at the club at the moment, so you'll probably see the team playing with wingers at some stage during the season. From
Captain Chickers, do you expect players to be like Paddy Miller, total fitness and healthy lifestyle?
I think that certainly the days of people going away over the summer and putting a stone on are well gone. I think, you know, health and leisure across the country is on the hook. So players who are playing at this level of football nowadays know that they have to keep themselves in some form of shape. And to see Paddy doing what he's doing is absolutely superb, and on Matt Eve's at it as well at the moment. You know, for someone who's been around the game for so long and has done the best part of 15 professional pre-seasons, it's great to see Matt and certainly his counterpart Rob Ewell at the college doing their pre-season already and just keeping themselves ticking over. So I would expect players to keep themselves fit. I'm not so sure that I'd expect them to do as much as Paddy's doing, but
not with an altitude mask on.
Great to see though. Very professional from Paddy.
We've got a question from our favourite supporter from Cleethorpes. He's a closet Tad Albion fan. Do you think you've got the minerals to beat Cleethorpes Town this season?
I would like to think that, you know, I would go into every game thinking that we can beat everyone, and that's something we'll try and start at the players. It won't always happen, but certainly we'll try and develop that attitude towards playing every single game, otherwise no point in being there. But certainly looking forward to the games against Cleethorpes for definite.
Brilliant. Question from @TadAllOver on Twitter. How can all the midfield players in the squad be accommodated and kept happy?
Well, I think, again, we go back to this, what we've said in terms of competition for places, and I think that's really, really important if we're going to have a realistic challenge on being in and around certainly the top 3 this year for definite. So I think each one of them are equally important. We will pick up injuries during the season. We will have people missing games through work or other commitments, family commitments. So sometimes it balances itself out and it's a little bit easier than people think it is.
Okay. Who do you see as our biggest rivals in the quest for promotion this season?
I think you can go back to sort of any of the top 4 or 5 last year and then beyond that. It's difficult to predict at this moment in time because you don't know what other teams are doing. You don't know who they're signing. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I think we'll get a better idea once pre-season starts and you start seeing who's playing and who's at what clubs, etc. So, but I would have thought the teams that were in and around it last year will be there or thereabouts.
Messi or Ronaldo?
2 very, very creative players, but for me, probably Ronaldo.
Dirty red.
Yeah, that's why.
What are you hoping to achieve this coming season?
I think the key thing is that the first thing is to make sure that the team is certainly capable of competing in every single game that we take to the field. I've said that to the players. You know, as players, you've earned the right to turn up at the football club, put your boots on and go and play on the surface. What you've got to thank for that, right, is that everyone working hard behind the scenes, from everyone who mans the canteen to the people behind the bar to the person who sits on the gate. So I think from the players that it's that attitude and will and that desire to go out and actually represent Taddy at this level of football.
Brilliant. From News Tad, which pro team do you support?
Well, being from Salford, I am a Red. Although
okay, moving on then.
I haven't. I mean, I think I've watched Leeds more times in the past 5 years than I've watched Man United. But yeah, I mean, what happens as you become a manager, you tend to become more of a football fan. My family are absolutely staunch season ticket holders at Old Trafford, but then I've got ties to the local area now. I've got Matty, who's playing for me, who are at Leeds United. I've got obviously keep an eye on Bradford because they're a local side. I like to see them doing well. I like to see York doing well. I think it's all good for local football because the more teams that are doing well in this area at this level means the more players want to come into this area to play their football.
Brilliant. Do you like to operate with a reserve team? That's from York Fox.
Well, if as a club going forward that we decide that strategically that a reserve team is a step in the right direction, then I have no problem with that whatsoever. But we've obviously got a great academy system in place already at the club, so it's just a case of making sure that we've got a pool of players that if we do pick up certainly long-term injuries with the first team squad, we have got a pool of players to dip into, and there's enough talent around the younger players to make sure that we've got players available all the time.
Question here from Jake Smart. Where would you rank Albion in all of the teams in North Yorkshire?
Well, obviously at this moment in time that would rank them as number one. But no, there's some good teams in North Yorkshire, some really good teams, some high profile teams, so it's just a nice place to be involved in football at this moment in time.
Okay, from Robin Derry, which team do you support? We've had that one, hopefully not Derby. And what's your favourite crisp flavour? It's a very good question from Robin.
I don't have crisp. I don't eat crisp. No.
Take note, Robin. Stay away.
Stay away from crisp. Ready salted though.
From Chickers, Captain Chickers, will you be doing the club initiation and singing Tad all over, recorded on camera for social media?
I think that's more of a player's initiation rather than a management initiation. Probably open to negotiation, but
that's a great body swerve, is that?
Yeah,
really?
I think so.
From Chris Dixon, do you have a master plan to take Tad to the Premiership?
How nice would that be? I think we've got a master plan to try and get Tad into the Evo stick first, and then we'll reassess it. We'll realign and we'll go from there.
Same from Chris. Do you think you'll last longer in your job than Uwe Rosler at Leeds?
I would like to think so. I mean, obviously, we've I understand that the club wants to be promoted at the earliest opportunity. I think the first thing we've got to do is build on the success over the previous season. We shouldn't lose sight of the fact that last year was a really successful season for the club. And I think if we can build on that and go one step better, then we'll have had a successful season.
Have you decided on your captain yet?
No, not yet. I've obviously got players in mind. There are a number of players, and then we've still got Tomo, who was captain of the side last year as well, in the squad at the moment. So I think we'll stuff like that will generally get sorted out around pre-season.
And finally, you're happy with the players so far? You mentioned that. Do you think you need any more players, or are you all done?
Well, I think at this level of football that you're always open to the fact that as good players become available, that it would be foolish not to sit and listen and see who is out there and what they could bring in addition to the squad that you've already got in place. But I think I've already said that players that we're looking at now would have to be as good as, if not better than what we've already got in place in our opinion. And football is about opinions. That's why we all love it. Everyone's got an opinion about it, so and we're exactly the same. So, squad's good at the moment.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Billy. We wish you all the best this season and good luck in everything you do. Thank you.